new Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown to Warner Brothers' newest trailer for Godzilla and Kong, the 2024 follow-up to 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong, 2019's Godzilla King of Monsters, 2017's Kong Skull Island, and 2014's Godzilla. Oh, I didn't even know there was that many Godzillas. This trailer is insane, and we must sit down and talk about Shimo, Monarch, and the importance of Mothra returning, the queen of monsters, and my heart. I have a tattoo. It's kind of old, so you don't need to look at it. And I'm sorry this might be a quicker than normal breakdown. I had to see Madam Web today and lost some time. But yeah, we'll save that conversation for another day. Be sure to check out nerdride.shop to check out our latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. Right now, you can grab our Multiverse Tour shirt featuring the many eras of Deadpool. It also comes as a hoodie or crop top, or maybe pick up the Madam Web shirt featuring the greatest line from any movie trailer in history, but it's not in the actual movie. Spoilers. Grabbing some merch from the nerdride.shop is the best way to support the channel and all the work that we do here at New Rockstars. Okay, now let's get into this trailer.
For centuries, there was harmony. The Titans were the guardians of nature, and the great apes became the protectors of humanity.
The voiceover, I think, is done by Eileen Andrews, played by Rebecca Hall, who we saw in the last movie. She's a scientist who works studying Kong and Hollow Earth and adopted Gia. She works for Monarch as well. We open the trailer on a scene we got from the last teaser. The pyramid, a rupture in the sand, the poor camels running for their lives, and the bricks surrounding the pyramid are engulfed in dirt like quicksand. Then we get this shot. A new hole to Hollow Earth, perhaps. It has the same blue lighting that we've seen in the Legacy Monarch or Monsters in Godzilla vs. Kong when a Titan approaches the rift to leave or enter Hollow Earth or come to our planet. We get footage of Kong stepping out of the hole in Egypt with his beast glove, which I'll get into shortly, don't you worry. Then we cut here with Godzilla coming out of the ocean and his blue spikes are illuminating. They once lived in harmony, or more so just coexisted, and now they can't stand each other, and we see that play out in the trailer. Right then the trailer says the Titans were the guardians of nature. Though ordinary people like you and myself probably disagree, especially after seeing Godzilla with the pink spikes blast through the bridges like he's one to do, Monarch, who studied the creatures, classified them as Titans and believed them to be all carrying to the planet's natural ecosystem. Some Titans were classified as protectors like Godzilla, Mothra, King Kong. The opposites were classified as destroyers such as Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mechagodzilla. So this is someone from Monarch explaining the importance of Kong and Godzilla to us and how much we need them. Then they state the great apes become the protector of humanity. I think when she mentions great apes, that's what they refer to Kong's fellow apes now. So originally, I think through Skull Island, there may have been a reference to Kong being the last one left of his kind. Clearly, that's not true. This honestly works out for us though, because it shows Monarch doesn't know everything. Not only is Hollow Earth massive, but we only know what we've seen and learned. So if Monarch has never seen another Kong, that doesn't mean the other great apes don't exist, it just means they haven't seen it yet. Additionally, Noah Chen, one of our writers, mentioned this and I agree. They're setting up a history where apes protected humans and Titans protected nature. This probably brought the Titans and apes into conflict, which we saw in cave drawings. Most of the apes probably retreated to their own society that's now run by Skar based on promotional material, and he hates humans who are now venturing into Hollow Earth. That's an easy justification, and when Kong shows up, it makes sense immediately they would fight and clash. We get the shot of Kong reaching out his hand to who I think is Gia. This is in Hollow Earth, pre-Beast Glove, of course. Then we cut to a shot of Kaylee Hotto's character, Gia, who appeared in the last Godzilla vs. Kong movie, an orphaned iwi that was adopted by Eileen Andrews and is super connected, sort of bonded with Kong. We think we saw the iwi in the last trailer too. They were a tribe on Hollow Earth and Skull Island, and many of them were wiped out by the Camazots, which is explained in the comics, but the iwi worship Kong and his species. During this shot, she's in a classroom. She's wearing the headband I think we last saw her in Godzilla vs. Kong, but clearly it's a different material, and our girl is getting older. She looks bored. White feathers fall down around her like snowflake petals, and I think these are snowflake petals that could be the remnants of Shimo's ice blast. When Kong is trying to fight back Shimo's blast later in the trailer, the little sprinkles of ice fall to the ground. They look very similar. The clock reads 1313, so make a wish! But really, this could be a reference to 1313 being recognized as like an angel number for you being an empath, or a new exciting phase is coming for you, or spiritual growth and transformation. It can mean a lot of things. Then immediately, the spikes appear as a graph that resembles Godzilla's pink spikes. But Gia can also sense the presence of Titans by picking up their vibrations to their movement or heartbeat. So that subtle sequence could be her sensing a new Titan is coming. Then we get a shot of her different from the last trailer, but sort of the same. We got a glimpse of her with the iwis underground and her hand fading with the staircase or wall. This could be that scene. It cuts very quickly, but we glimpse at her retina. You can be the judge, but I think she's looking at Mothra, which sounds insane. Mothra, queen of the monsters and queen of my heart. Oh, she first appeared in 2019's King of Monsters, and I was pissed. We were all pissed at how she died. Luckily, Mothra can return from death by laying an egg from which she'd be reborn as a larva. She could also cocoon herself and restore her health in Hollow Earth or somewhere else. She's still an insect, so I'd imagine she can survive a lot, though it might not really look like it from that last movie. Seeing as Mothra held the symbiotic relationship with Godzilla, it makes sense for this next sequence of a blue powered up Godzilla. Now, Godzilla eventually becomes pink when he evolves, but this Godzilla resembles the one in Godzilla vs. Kong when he's using his atomic blast. It's good to note though that this Godzilla and Kong has the blue penetrating his entire body like he's overcharged. We see it again later as he steps away from the burning buildings into the ocean on the beach. So I assume this is in Act 1 and he's overcharged or weakened and retreats to hibernate and recharge, which we saw in the first trailer. And then they finally reveal it. In Brazil, Skar vs. Kong and Pink Godzilla vs. Shimo. According to text on the Playmates toy packaging, Shimo is a legendary ice titan with unstoppable world-ending powers who will oppose Godzilla and Kong. As you can see, Shimo has the power of ice, and right now one of his abilities is labeled as Frostbite. This is also the first time we actually see Shimo in the trailer, so this is big for us. Shimo is a massive compared to Godzilla, and it's on all fours right now, so that shows how much damage it will do to Brazil and whether or not it will be hard for Godzilla to even fight back. In the center is a massive explosion between Kong and Skar. This is probably the Beast Glove Thunder Punch that causes an electric explosion, which, again, I'll get into in a second because we get a better shot of that glove later. Also, you gotta love Brazil always representing. I love it. Then we see the Skar King in all his burnt orange glory. His eyes illuminate, then dissolve into what I think is Shimu's eyes, showing us who really is the dynamic duo here in this movie. Gia wakes up from her sleep suddenly and signs to Eileen of being afraid that something's wrong with her. If her senses or visions are becoming stronger through this movie, this could be the reason they venture to find the Iwis to help Gia. Or maybe she follows her senses that lead us to the Iwis where we find Mothra. I just need Mothra back. And if they bring Mothra back, I will be fine and happy. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but Batman wasn't always gritty. For a while, Batman was goofy, campy, fun, and now you can put that fun on display with the new Batmobile 1966 model kit from Fan Home. Fan Home is a brand dedicated to developing unique collections and build up models from DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, and more. A Fan Home subscription gets you magazines loaded with trivia and stories about your favorite fandom, but also everything you need to build your very own 1966 Batmobile. And who doesn't want that? Fan Home's Batmobile model has so many details. There's a dashboard with all sorts of dials, working lights, and a bat scope. This finished model is over 28 inches long, so you can really get in there and see everything. Plus, it's made from metal and ABS plastic, so it's sturdy enough for you to play around with. With a Fan Home subscription, you get new parts every month, plus instructions on how to put everything together, so you can build your model up bit by bit rather than be overwhelmed trying to do it all at once. On top of that, you'll also get a Batman mug, t-shirt, posters, and novelty license plate for your cars. A Fan Home subscription is the perfect way to make your collection stand out. To get started, just click the link in the description below. We get the bisexual Warner Brothers logo, slay, then a flash of a digital lab report, too blurry to make out, and a glitch to the legendary logo. This could mean whatever Titan or Destroyer is coming could be affecting the radar so aggressively it causes massive glitches to Monarch's tech. Ooh. We got these helicopters flying over what I think is Monarch's sectioned off portion to one of the many entrances to Hollow Earth. Not later in the trailer, we see the electric poles harnessing the power and begin to illuminate and start a whirlpool, and then the group of scientists and Kong jump into a portal to Hollow Earth. Eileen mentions a signal that Kong, Godzilla, and Gia can all feel. So something is coming, and as we already seen in this trailer, it's Shimo or Skar King, or both. We don't know which one enters first. Let's also take a look at these visuals under the narration, because Gia senses it in her room with the animals on the windowsill and a dream catcher on the wall. It's very homey. From the view of outside, this might be her location within Hollow Earth. We left Godzilla vs. Kong knowing there's a new outpost within Hollow Earth monitoring Kong, and this could be her part of it. Kong's in the ocean. This could be in Brazil from the beautiful color of the water, or the Monarch outpost that we just saw. The shadows on his face could be the helicopters flying above. Then back to Eileen Andrews and Dan Stevens, who's playing a new character allegedly named Trapper. However, according to IMDb, it's Stephen Ronda, who could be related to John Goodman's character Bill Ronda in the Apple Plus series Monarch Legacy of Monsters. We get into this machine and we step into it like this is Alien 2, but this is actually the biomimic Heave. Used to travel through Hollow Earth by Monarch, Heave stands for the Hollow Earth Aerial Vehicle. Some toy packaging, though, has alluded to it saying Hollow Earth Anti-Gravity Vehicle, but you get the gist. It flies through Hollow Earth. We get the same whirlpool of light as whatever's coming out of the ground in Egypt. We saw them enter Hollow Earth in the last movie, and it was just as chaotic. They had bags in case they vomited. Though I do love that they shot through the portal in the same beam of light, then blasts of blue and magenta illuminate everyone's faces. It's the same sequence, just different people. Then we get another shot from the last trailer. Kong is running in Hollow Earth and the Heave ship follows him as he sprints through the valley. Then we get another shot from the last trailer of dusty old Kong squaring up with a shadow of another monster that turns out to be Mini Kong, as Bernie puts it later. Mini Kong is actually named, I think, Suko, a reveal from the toy packaging as well. He's a scrappy little fighter who always has Kong's back, so I don't necessarily think he's a descendant of Kong, just a little guy who looks up to him. Now, originally I mentioned this scene is to show off the Skar King's size. Kong had his axe ready to fight, but he let his guard down once he realized it was a tiny little ape. It looks like Kong Kong is absolutely not ready for this fight with the Skar King, but is willing to do whatever it takes. Then we see Trapper press against this wall that illuminates blue. This might be the hibernation sack Godzilla is in, which we saw in the last trailer, which, like, why would you try waking him up? Why would a human put his hands on Godzilla's, like, sack? We see a giant handprint on the edge of a wall, which is probably another reminder of how big Skar King is. It also resembles the posters we saw in December. This wall looks like the wreckage of a monarch outpost with the bars crumbled on the side and the red stamp as a reminder to those who come looking. Don't come looking or you'll die by me, the Skar King. Yeah, I'm also dressed kind of like him. I'm dressed like a cute Skar King. Then Trapper says this:
"That's not just a signal, that's a call for war."
We then see Kong grab his axe and we're taken underground to the ruins that look like the ruins we saw in Godzilla vs. Kong. And keep an eye on that waterfall of lava because that's important later. The other apes are just as big as Kong. Some have red paint marked on their bodies. I think these apes stand by Skar King or at least pretend to. They start beating the ground, so this must be like a ritual. Maybe a ritual for the King of Apes' arrival or whatever is behind that lava fall. Then Skar King jumps to the ground in all his glory. We see what ultimately gives Kong his glove, the attack the Skar King makes on him with that skeletal whip. This whip is super powerful, and to remind us how big Skar King is, that whip wraps around a building later in the trailer and splits it in half. I think throughout this trailer I forgot how big these creatures are, and these scenes remind us just how huge the Skar King is, because Skar King is bigger than most of the buildings in Rio. Horrifying. Then as the waterfall of lava starts to lessen, behind it is Shimo. All we can see are those eyes, but Shimu's blast of ice hits Kong, who's trying to stop it with his axe. This is probably how he loses his axe in the movie and is destroyed by Shimo.
Kong can't stop this on his own.
He won't be alone.
And we're back, baby. The best team up we've ever done saw. The infamous Kong and Godzilla run prevails again, and I love it. I don't care. I love it. Back in Brazil, Shimo's turning the water into ice and blasting it into the sky, forming that into ice as well. You can see how far his reach is across the water, and that thing is dangerous. We cut between a lot of visuals here. We see an Iwi woman, Bernie, and Andrews. In the original trailer, we saw the Iwi people gathered around a glowing pink monument. This is probably from that scene, and this is probably where Gia is reintroduced to what's left of the Iwi people. We see the Iwi people a couple more times within the trailer. They bow their heads, and we see an Iwi woman and a man who could be Gia's parents or related to her. They have a sort of resemblance, but we just don't know yet. The actress is Chen, who played Shang-Chi's mom in The Ten Rings. Her role right now is unconfirmed, but from this shot alone and her wardrobe, I'd argue she's important to the Iwi people. It is very important to note from the trailer, Kong and Godzilla are fighting in Egypt. We don't see anyone else yet. I think this is a part in the movie where both Kong and Godzilla fight each other, realize it does nothing to fight each other again, and then come together to take on Skar and Shimo. Even the overlapping narration says this:
They don't have to like each other. They just have to work together.
That look already says, I don't want to work with this idiot. We get a shot of Trapper in this big yellow rig, and I think he's building Godzilla's beast glove, which again is the size comparison. To a human, look at how huge that is. Now, all looks completely chaotic to go from Kong and Godzilla up in Egypt back to Brazil fighting Skar and Mini Kong. Skar is holding on to the little Kong, so I don't know the importance of that little guy to our Kong, but it must be something strong. Later in the trailer, we see Mini Kong throw a rock to evade another ape with red paint on their body, so this Mini Kong is very important as everyone's just trying to capture him. Kong knocks a tooth out of Skar King that represents the street, and again, another scene to showcase how big he is because that molar is massive. It's bigger than a car. Then we see these shots of blue spike Godzilla like they're from Godzilla vs. Kong. It might be a scene we've never seen before since this scene we got in the trailer is during the daytime. It's weird that this one's like at night. I'm unsure about it, but I'm interested in your guys' suggestions because I don't know what is going on with this Godzilla. We saw this scene with Gia in the original trailer, but the lighting was much different. Originally in that trailer, we saw her hand look like it's fading, but now we see the gold dust fall down, and it resembles when Mothra emerged in Godzilla King of Monsters. We see Kong's glove being made, latching to his wrist, arm shutters fall, so this is referred to as the Beast Glove, which stands for Bio-Enhanced Anatomic Seismic Thunder Glove. The glove part is left off of Beast acronym, you get it. We see the thunder it gives off later when fighting Skar. This is a prototype gauntlet with a meteor impact with every punch. This was released also in the Playmates toys. We see the damage that Shimo and Skar did to his hand beyond that Beast Glove. You can see his skin, the fur is gone. When Kong pulls back and punches through the building that Skar hurls at him, we see a clear shot of his silver tooth, which when you look back at the trailer, we don't see until the Kong and Godzilla running scene. So along with the new gauntlet, he also received a new tooth. Good for him, he's getting veneers. Then we get Kong and Godzilla bellowing in the desert, and this is probably the scene where they realize they have to work together. And then we close out with our bisexual Godzilla, Kong, and New Empire. And those colors are really speaking to me, but not as much as this movie. I am so stoked. I can't even act like I'm not, you guys. This universe is so fun to follow, and honestly, you put giant lizards, giant moths, and giant apes to fighting with super mega powers, like, I'm tuned in, I'm sad, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna eat it all up. I've watched these movies for such a long time, and I'm always there opening night, which is why I'm excited to announce we're doing a MonsterVerse rewatch series. And you know how like Eric does the ones for the X-Men movies? I'll be doing it here, following up to this bad boy. It's me and writer Noah Chen against the world and Hollow Earth. So tune in and we can beat our chests together, or just scream, whatever you want to do. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lulu_Clemons. Thanks to Noah for helping me write this one because I just didn't have time. I had to go watch Madam Web. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Check out the break room, the deep dive, and I'll see you later.